I forgot my mic again. This is like the third video in which I forgot my mic headset. But anyway, hopefully this thing hears me. It says I'm live. I'm live. All right. So I'm about to hurry up and create a video. I'm going to embed it into my latest blog post, in which it documents my understanding of event sourcing. I'm in Panera Bread. Pardon the distractions and the noise outside of this, but this is important for me to document my understanding, so I'm going to do it regardless. All right, so I've been deep diving into, I don't know, enterprise architecture. Specifically, I've been hamming my brain with knowledge in regards to this concept of event sourcing as well as Akka.net. I'm not going to talk about Akka.net. I'm going to put that on the shelf for something in the future in which I document my understanding of that. This right here, I'm going to document event sourcing, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'll share my screen. All right, come. Share my screen, full screen. Yeah. All right. So present to everyone. Yeah. And okay, how do I get back to what's this over here? How do I get back to my? Yeah. All right. So anyway, this is the blog post that I'm currently getting ready to publish. It's called F Sharp Event Sourcing. Okay. And basically, I'm going to take this video and I'm going to embed it probably right below this intro and above this first paragraph right here. And I provide some source code in which I provide a bank account example. And I talk about some events and how to leverage these events, and then how to hydrate and aggregate, aka my understanding is a business entity's current state. And so that's what I'm going to throw in this blog post, and this video is a part of this blog post. Let me go to my code. All right, so let me go over here. And of course, as I'm attempting to record this video, I feel like the noise level around me is getting higher because apparently they want to compete with me, but I'm not going to be angry. Anyway, so let's talk about this. All right. I created a module called account. Okay, this account is going to have some types to it, such as account ID, first name, last name. One has to be able to log into an account via their credentials, which is essentially a user ID password. Okay. And then the actual account, well, it's going to contain what I just discussed above, these types, account ID, first name, last name, credentials, but it's also going to have a balance, okay? In addition to that, what's also essential, especially when we discuss the topic of event sourcing, is events, okay? So I have a discriminated union type called event, and the values, I don't know if you call it the discriminated union case values, are logged in, deposited, and withdrew. I don't know if it should be withdrew or withdrawn. I don't know. I'll have to go back to grammar. Anyway, if you notice, and this is something that was kind of I read over and over again in different publications, is that within event sourcing, again, I'm documenting my understanding, right? So it's important that I get this out. Within event sourcing, all your events are going to be past tense, because these events, as it relates to the intent of event sourcing as an architectural decision, is that these events have already happened, okay? Because they already happened, it's important that we provide the tense, in which we provide past tense. The user logged in, the user deposited money, the user withdrew money, etc. So I don't know if it's withdrew or withdrawn. Anyway, that said, those are the types, right, for this example of a bank account. Now, with that said, Next, we have the functions, okay? Within event sourcing, my understanding is it's probably a good idea to start off with an aggregate that has initial state. My understanding of aggregate, because people are probably saying, well, what's aggregate, right? My understanding of an aggregate is an aggregate, I believe, my understanding is essentially a business object that represents a bounded context as it relates to the idea of domain-driven design. Okay, so in this case, in this example, this bank account is an aggregate, right, based on the properties of a bank account ID, first name, last name, balance, etc. Okay, now that's my understanding of the aggregate. If we're going to leverage event sourcing, then and it all revolves around this notion of an aggregate, and we're hydrating an aggregate, or we're hydrating this business entity, this business object. Except within object-oriented programming, an object usually has behavior. Well, I'm not going to go there. That's why I call it a business entity, aka an aggregate, as I think that's a proper term used within enterprise development specific to domain-driven design.
How was everything?
We're good. Thank you. Where's my thought process at? So we want to be able to start with the initial state of an aggregate, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to hydrate this aggregate via an event stream. An event stream is exactly the way it sounds. My understanding is an event stream is a stream or a set of events that take place that ultimately dictate an aggregate state, okay? The state of a business entity. All right, it's important that I articulate this or verbalize this so I can internalize my understanding, or someone can correct me, so it's all good. All right, so I explained the function called empty account, which basically initializes an aggregate, right? Hence, the bank account is the aggregate. Everything revolves around the bank account. Everything revolves around the aggregate. The aggregate is the bank account, right? The bank account is the aggregate. All right. We have another function called getAccount, which probably belongs in a, it should really be an interface, or yeah, it should really be an interface, aka a function value. That shouldn't be hard coded in here, but this is more of me learning about event sourcing, so I'm not going to trip on that. Then we have a function called update. This update is I would say, one out of the two components that's necessary, or one of the two ingredients that is necessary to exercise event sourcing. The first ingredient is to have your event types. Remember the event types: logged in, deposited, withdrew. Okay. The other ingredient to event sourcing, in addition to the events that you provide, is the actual function that is going to be responsible for, I was going to say mutating, but ultimately that's going to be responsible for hydrating an aggregate, okay? And this is done via an event stream, okay? Now, with that said, when we examine this update function, we see that the argument of this function is going to be a tuple, in which is the aggregate, in this case, the bank account, and also the event, all right, which is defined up here: logged in, deposited, withdrew, okay? So the function that is responsible, or that is essential for hydrating an aggregate based on the technique called event sourcing, based on my understanding, requires these two ingredients: requires the actual aggregate to operate on and the actual events to apply, so that it can add state to the aggregate that's under context. Okay, so basically, maybe this syntax is confusing for someone that doesn't come from a F# background, but essentially it's this. It is count and events, and that's a tuple, right? And we should say match accounts events with, and is that happy? Or do I have to throw parentheses around this? Okay. Please tell me you're happy. All right, cool. I didn't embarrass myself. So this is the exact same function, right? Within F#, you can just reduce the syntax, let the compiler put that in for you by just doing this. And just add a function. And the compiler will go ahead and insert those arguments for you, which I just demonstrated. All right, moving on. So this update is absolutely necessary. This is what the hydration of the aggregate is going to rely on in order to produce the latest state of the bank account, aka our aggregate. This next update is essentially, well, that complements this update up here. But this next update is actually used in our fold operation. So, and this actually calls update up here. So, this looks, as I think about this looks pretty redundant. I'm curious if I could just, all right, I'm thinking out loud right now. Can't I just do something like, why can't I just do this right here? Is that gonna work? No, it doesn't work. Well, it's an account, this event. Oh yeah, because that's, I understand why. This is a stream of events, and this update up here is just one event. So, all right, I get it now. Anyway, this next update, which is used in our fold operation down here, takes the current event within our event stream that we're operating on, and it'll go ahead and with that account, go ahead and call this essential update function that actually does the hydrating. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So this code up here is part of the actual domain, right? The types and these three main functions. One function for initializing the state of our aggregate. Another function, which may not be considered main, I said three, it looks like there's four, is actually represents logging in, right? This probably shouldn't be in here, should be in another module. I discussed our update, which is the core ingredient. In addition to the event types, and then next update is necessary for our fold operation to operate on each individual event within a stream of events that our fold operation relies on. The client is over here. The client basically goes ahead and creates the initial account, and then from there, I'm not even using this account. Am I using this account? I'm not using this account. Yeah, that's weird. All right, that's better. Anyway, so am I using credentials? Yeah, all right, I'm using credentials. So this client is actually going to provide the credentials. It actually is going to pass in the stream of events to our hydrator, right? Which is essentially this fold operation is going to hydrate our bank account. It's going to receive It's going to receive this stream of events, right? I could probably name this event stream. Maybe that's easier. And it's going to go ahead and invoke the next update function right here. This next update function, as I said, takes the current event and runs it through this update up here, and we keep building up to the final state of our bank account or our aggregate, and that's essentially it. I know the last 5 minutes, if not the entire presentation I just did, probably wasn't articulated the way that I would like it to be, but it's not really for you. This is for me, because this is how I internalize new concepts that I've learned. All right. So this video I'm embedding in my WordPress blog over here, and that's it. So let me check my YouTube. Do I have any observers on here? Let me go back to me. Stop sharing. Let me go back to me. And I don't have any viewers, so this means that no one's asking me questions. And that's it. I'm Scott Nimrod, and I do a lot of things, man. I'm a full throttle .NET developer. I do mobile. I do desktop. I'm trying to get away from C#, but I'm a student of F#. And this is me documenting my journey in learning F#. And that's it. Reach out to me. My internet name is Bizmonger. And adios, te veo a ratito. I'm out via Panera Bread. My apologies for the noise. All right, I'm out. Peace.